Magic the Gathering's latest expansion got a really cool anime-themed trailer. We're going to be talking about how the
GenCon suspects
have been caught, and of course we're going to take a look at some new miniatures. All this and more in this week's Tabletop News. My name is Angela, and welcome to Hobby Night. A brand new Magic the Gathering expansion just released, and to hype it up, they created an anime-themed trailer for it, so let's go ahead and take a look and watch. Now, if you're immediately looking at this and going, the animation style of this feels vaguely familiar, well, you're probably correct on that, because if you've ever watched Naruto or Bleach, it is the same studio that worked on those two projects, Studio Pierrot. And I actually really like their stuff, and I love the look of this trailer. Now, this is just a trailer for a new expansion for the card game, which is mildly disappointing to me, because as I was watching this for the first time, I didn't know that. I actually thought we were getting a full-blown animated series about Will and Rowan that was going to introduce us to the world of Magic the Gathering, because while I do know that there are novels out there, and there's definitely lore that comes with the cards, and if you get some of the fat packs and stuff like that, so there is definitely a world built around this card game already, but I don't feel like it's super accessible. But animation is a good way to make it accessible. Just look at League of Legends with Arcana. That was brilliant, and I was really hoping that this was gonna be that because of just how this trailer continues to progress. There's so much story happening in it, and I wanted more, but it is just to advertise these new cards. That being said, I've taken a look at some of the new cards, and they are gorgeous, and we will take a look at some of them here in a moment. But I just love this trailer, and I wanted to share it with you. Like, they just did such a good job. It's such a tease. Honestly, it just makes me really nostalgic for when I used to watch anime all the time, if I'm perfectly honest. That's one of the reasons that I was so, hyped, but also disappointed when I found it wasn't actually a full-blown series. Like, imagine. That would just be so cool. Maybe this will be really successful. They'll keep working with this studio, and they can get something in the works, a la Arcana, to introduce people to the world a bit more. This would be a good start. Also, can I just say, I love her shoulders. They're great. Very dark elf.
それではお父様とお母様はどうなるの
What happened to them?
それでもローアンとなら困難も乗り越えられる僕らは兄弟だろ
Right.
イルは強いねありがとう
Every time in anime that they do something like that, where the girl does that sort of soft smile with tears in her eyes, it breaks my heart. Where are you going, Rowan? What are you going to do in the forest? I genuinely don't know. If you know in the comments, please do feel free to tell me. Now, as you can see, the set is already live. It released on September 8th, so if you want to go to your friendly local game store and pick it up, or if you happen to play on MTG Arena, you can get it there as well and collect the cards. And here are two of the very cool cards of our anime protagonists done in a non-anime style, which honestly still looks badass, but I do actually prefer their anime styling. And speaking of which, I want to go ahead and take a look at just some of the cards in this set because they're gorgeous. Like, look at the Blind Obedience. That's amazing. Greater Oromancy, really cool. I wish I could actually click on these to expand them a little bit more, but unfortunately we can't get them in too much detail. But I really like the unique style that they're taking with this series, and also how it is a little bit anime. Like, this has a little bit of a classic Japanese art print style, like the wood prints, but with color, and I really like the vibe that we're seeing from these card sets. So I might end up picking up one of these sets just because I was really intrigued by the trailer, but I'd love to know what your thoughts are on it down below and whether or not you're going to be grabbing some of these cards. Speaking of Magic the Gathering, remember how at GenCon 2 dudes decided to steal a bunch of Magic cards? Well, they have been caught, and they have been charged with felony theft. That is right. Thomas Dunbar and Andrew Gume have been caught, and they have been officially charged with felony theft, which means that they can get up to 5 years in prison, and they're going to have a hefty fine to pay. Now, one of the benefits of this story coming to a conclusion is the fact that the product that was stolen has officially been recovered. One of the reasons that this was able to occur was, one, these guys were just not very smart about this theft. They did it where there were a lot of cameras around. They were caught not only getting the dolly to lift the pallet out of the sales floor, they were caught with a red cart bringing it to their vehicle. Their vehicle was then caught on camera leaving the parking garage, getting the license plate, which led to them being suspected as the people who did this. And then on top of that, an additional person has come forward, or at least their attorney has, saying that they were coerced into buying a pallet of magic cards for $4,000. And honestly, that kind of got me scratching my head a little bit. Like, it genuinely confused me. This pallet of magic cards was estimated to be worth $300,000, and they decided to offload it to a single person for $4,000, which means that the two of them splitting it, even if they weren't caught and got away with it, would each just make $2,000. Like, I don't know if that was the entire bulk that this person is implying that they were sold for, or bought, I guess, off these guys for $4,000, or if it was only a portion of it, but that just seems like a really small amount for two dudes who are stealing that much value of product. The other thing that absolutely blows my mind in this entire story is apparently there was also video evidence and photos taken of them attempting to steal other product from Atomic Mass Games and the Asmodee studio booth, which just blows my mind. Apparently these guys just came in, decided to go to this convention under aliases, by the way. They didn't use their real names. They actually registered for the convention under completely different names so that they, I guess, wouldn't be identified. They clearly thought about this a little bit, but not a lot, and that's probably why they got caught. And let this be a lesson. Maybe don't steal product from GenCon or just any convention, or maybe just don't steal in general. It's really not a good thing and doesn't really reward you. Hey guys, I just wanted to jump into the video to remind you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, especially if you're enjoying the content that you find here. And if you're into the spicier side of the hobby, well, my Only Fanatics VIP page is currently 50% off through the end of the month for new subscribers. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, use the link in the video description below, and I hope to see you there. Now let's go ahead and get back to the video. Have you been looking for a new RPG to play? Maybe something that's based off of one of your favorite video games, like Assassin's Creed? Well, Cool Mini or Not has you covered. We have a brand new trailer coming to us from Cool Mini or Not about their latest RPG series for Assassin's Creed. And this is very intriguing because as we continue to watch this trailer, it really feels very board game-esque to me, which is interesting, and I'm very, very curious what this system is actually going to be like, because at least as an IP product, Assassin's Creed has never super interested in me. I remember when the first game came out, I tried it on, I think my friend's like PlayStation or something like that, and I was immediately taken out of it because I did not realize, based off of the original trailers, that I wasn't actually just playing a person set in that ancient time period being an assassin. The fact that I was a normal, regular human in modern era and then going back and just living those memories, maybe making different choices, but essentially like living someone else's life, not my own, was really disappointing to me. So I'm curious how they're, one, bringing that into the system with the RPG, and also what this character board is actually meant to function as. Because with adding cards as you level up and all these kinds of things, it seems very specific and like I said, a little bit like a board game to me. But there is one thing about this particular RPG that I find incredibly cool, and it's the fact that all those characters that we just saw flashed in those poses, you get them in miniature form if you pre-order this set from Cool Mini or Not, which I just think is honestly a little devilish because it is a pre-order exclusive. I don't know if they're going to be selling the miniatures separately afterwards or if it's strictly in this little bundle that you can get, because it does say pre-order exclusive. However, I really do like the miniatures. I think they're really, really cool. I don't think there's a very good... Let me see if I can go to their website where we have it up for pre-order. Okay, I don't know if we have a good look at the miniatures. Yes, they look really, really nice. And I mean, this should come as no surprise. It's cool mini or not, right? They do quality miniatures. I personally am a big fan of the Zombicize franchise, and they've done a lot of other really good miniatures as well. And so I just think it's really neat that they're doing this. I think this is the best picture we have of like the bulk of them. But I think they put a lot of effort into the detail of these. They almost look like miniature statues with the amount of base work that they have on them. Like some of them are resting against desks or standing on the decks of a ship, or something like crazy like standing on the top of a mast or something like that. So you got a lot of cool iconography associated with both the time periods and these particular characters from the games represented in this miniature form. And I think that's really cool, but I am very curious about this as a role-playing game. Like, obviously it is. They've got a bunch of books probably going over all of the various rules in the game, but I'm looking at everything else that comes with this and I'm like, I'm intrigued and I don't really know much about this system, so I'm hoping to learn more as the game comes out later in October. It's time for us to dive into the world of Age of Sigmar with some new Fyreslayers to look at. And of course, a good fiery doggo. I do really like the Salamander dog, probably my favorite model of this entire set. But the dwarves themselves are quite cool. However, I have some mild criticisms. And I'll talk about those in a moment when we're looking at the miniatures in a little bit more detail. And this is honestly just more of a critique of Games Workshop in general, not necessarily of the designs of these sculpts, because I do actually think the sculpts are quite fun. This looks like a very cool Warcry set. But what I'm a little less intrigued by, and what I'm a little less thrilled by, is the fact that, okay, when it comes to Slayers, like I know Fyreslayers are different from Slayers because this is Age of Sigmar, not Old World. But something that really bothers me that Age of Sigmar does is the fact that they took a unit out of an Old World army, the dwarves, a unit that is meant to be dwarves who have been disgraced or dishonored in some way, and the only way for these dwarves to atone themselves is to basically get naked and go fight the largest creature they can in the hopes that they die. So they took that entire death culture and turned it into an entire faction in Age of Sigmar, injected magma into it, and I feel like, I don't know, for me that's degraded the Slayers a little bit, because I think their aesthetic is really cool. I think their lore is really cool. And having an entire society that is now themed, like aesthetically at least, around them ruins it for me a little bit. Like, I feel bad because I don't dislike these models. I actually think they're quite handsome. I think they've captured the look really well. And I love the little dragon doggo, who they have not actually identified as a like specific creature, and that really bothers me. I was looking in this entire article, and the most that they say is that he is like, I think he was a oh my god, where was it? It was in this article I saw earlier. He's an adorable offspring of bigger magmatic monsters. What bigger magmatic monsters? Is he a magmadroth? Like, is he supposed to be a baby magmadroth? Or is, like, and if he is, why not just say that? I don't understand, but he is adorable, and I do love the sculpts of these models, but I've never gotten into the dwarf faction, especially in Age of Sigmar, because you either have these guys, who I feel are just, like, downgrading the Slayer vibe a little bit because they're all that, and I don't need an entire society of, like, Slayers, I guess. Especially if they're not vampire slayers. Like, if it was an entire society of vampire slayers, I think I'd be a little bit more into it. It'd also be like an entire society of women, which would be really cool. And I wish somebody would do that. That would kind of neat in Age of Sigmar, actually. But regardless, I guess Marathi's kind of that. But regardless, that's not the point. The point is I'm kind of disappointed with this faction, but these models are very, very cool. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. With the new Cities of Sigmar line coming to Age of Sigmar, Games Workshop has dropped a lore piece focusing on the largest city where the free folk live, and that is Hammerhall. Let's go ahead and take a look.
The mortal realms are vast beyond the ken of the human mind.
They are.
They are near infinite in their size, their borders defined only by their lethality.
Okay, not going to lie, that's actually part of why I don't really like the lore in Age of Sigmar, because the realms are near infinite, so why are they fighting? I don't get it.
Built and inhabited by stalwart, everyday people in a world of terrifying dangers. The greatest of them all is Hammerhall, the legendary twin-tailed city. It's been given this name because it crosses over two realms. Hammerhall Aksha was the first city to be founded on the Great Parch in the realm of fire, while Hammerhall Gyra is located in the realm of life. The city can be located in two places in this way, thanks to the realm gate it was founded around. These shimmering portals are crucial for traveling across the...
Is it an actual gate? Like, are we talking like this city has a stargate in the center of it that allows you to go to the other side?
Destructive migrations. However, the Hammers of Sigmar, a legendary chamber of the God King Stormcast Eternals, purged the surrounding lands of the war clans that menace them.
Okay, that's fine.
Hence, the city was named Hammerhall.
Ooh, I like this art. Okay, I do actually really like this art, though.
Hammerhall Aksha heaves with industry and commerce. Its winding, soot-stained streets are home to thousands upon thousands of more.
Also, we're gonna get some... I know we have some of these coming as miniature form, but some of those other, like, human characters, are we gonna get those? Because they look rad. Like, these guys!
Described as a wondrous city of fire, a monument to progress, and a haven for all free folk. To some extent, it is all these things, but in truth, this grandeur is experienced by only a privileged few. For most of Hammerhall Aksha's inhabitants, life is a grinding toil carried out under a permanent fog of ash, soot, and brimstone.
Okay.
The majority find work
just like the Imperium of Man.
Foundries or munitions farms, packing Vulkamites.
Ooh, I do like those. Like, are we gonna get those characters?
Or fashioning blades, armor, and other equipment for the city's military. This is hazardous and exhausting labor, and the demands of Sigmar's armies in the field grow more relentless every day. Hammerhall Aksha has grown exponentially in the years since its construction, and now stretches from the drudges.
Also, can I just say, they keep showing this map, and they have a bunch of, like, markers and other icons situated on it, but they've given us zero legend to actually identify what any of these places are, or what, like, how they're relevant.
The Dawnbringer Crusades than any other city. The legendary regiments hailing from the Bright City include the light infantry known as the Golden Lions, the dashing lancers of the Scions of the Comet, and the grizzled artillerists of the Leaden Bulls.
The Leaden what? Bulls? The Leaden Bugs? The Leaden...
sworn in as the Magister of Hammerhall in recognition
Balls?
of the mighty
Is that what they...
deeds he performed since becoming a member of the Stormcast Eternals. Where Aventis rides into battle atop a Taurolon called Loithar, Talia Vedra, the first Marshal of Hammerhall, enters the fray upon Infernity, a terrifying manticore. Vedra, also known as the Lioness of the Parch, is a
Lioness of the Parch? So Lioness of the Dry?
Follow her into battle. While her victories over external threats are celebrated, she's also well known for her victories over internal threats. The infamous Eve of 4 Killings saw her end 4 conspiracies and save Hammerhall from a potential collapse into anarchy.
Okay, I need to talk about that, because first of all, this map pisses me off. There's no legend. Cool, they have told me where north, west, east, and south are. I could probably figure that out, GW, thank you. You have marked a bunch of things on this map, like this round circular thing. Is this the gate, perhaps? Is this where all the rich people live and everything else is the poor folk? Like, is that what you're implying? What are all of these, like, pinned locations here? It really irritates me that there is zero legend, and they're talking about this gigantic city that is 2 cities in 2 separate realms, which... Why? If the realms are infinite? Is the city part... Why is it not just 2 separate cities that happen to be connected via a realm gate? Why do they have to be the same city? That just feels weirdly convoluted to me. And also, oh my god, the ridiculousness of the naming. I know. Oh my god, do I know that Games Workshop really likes to just make up words, including names, so that they can copyright as much as humanly possible of their product, okay? I know that is the reason. Like, hell, the fact that the woman was writing a manticore and not some other made-up word that essentially describes a manticore but is not a manticore, so that they can put a little TM next to it or, a little copyright symbol next to it, I'm shocked by. Because the amount of other just ridiculous name drops in this trailer that I don't actually know, like, correct me if I am wrong. If you are an Age of Sigmar fan, and that trailer, you were like, I knew every name coming out of this. It all made complete sense to me. Nothing about that was confusing or like jarring to listen to, because I got all of it. And the names, like, just being just haphazardly thrown in there, like one on top of another, was no problem for me, because I don't know, for me, it was a little much. And don't get me wrong, like, I am super stoked about this new army coming out. I am ready for the new Cities of Sigmar line, because I think the models all look really cool, but this lore drop has not made me more excited for them, and I'm curious what it's done for you, if it's made you more excited, or would it have just been better if they just continued to showcase more miniatures, or just stopped showcasing stuff about it completely, let the stuff be talked about once it was actually coming out, and you still would have been fine with just buying it outright, even without this additional lore drop. Let's talk about it. That has been it for this week in the tabletop news. I feel like I ended this a little bit on a grumpy note. I don't know, the stuff that Age of Sigmar is doing right now, while I love the models that are coming out, the lore just continues to push me away from the game, and I feel really, really disappointed by that, because of how much I do actually enjoy the sculpts that they're producing for their franchise. It just makes me sad, and I needed to talk about it a little bit, so I hope you guys didn't mind too much. Now, before I do head out, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons for making it so content like this can continue to happen. Without your guys' support, we would not be doing this, so thank you very, very much. And if you'd like to join them and get access to my personal Discord, then you can find a link to my Patreon down in the video description below. I have been Angela, and I hope you have a wonderful hobby night.